Squarespace is bringing you this podcast.
Okay.
Do you know them?
I do.
Oh, so you know that they're the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own personal website, portfolio, or online store. And for a free trial and 10% off, you can visit squarespace.com and enter the offer code THUMBS, THUMBS, at checkout.
I knew that now. I know that now.
Good.
I'm excited. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Are we recording? How are my levels? Turn me up in my headphones. I wish I had a job where I could say turn me up in my headphones in earnest. But it wouldn't be earnest. It would just be for people performing for me because I said I wanted it. You know how serious I am about getting off Twitter?
Not very, because you keep checking it via Slack.
I don't. It's in Slack. That's company business, man. I would be really negligent if I didn't. Oh, Danielle, that shirt's for you.
I play a lot of video games.
Shut up.
That's good.
No, I'll tell you about them.
Just shut your fucking
Just
mouth.
telling you now.
God, this one.
This
She's
one over
insufferable.
Here. Can't fucking deal.
One of the
What's
worst.
going on here? Mark Twain.
Oh yeah, I write copy for those sometimes. But then I came up. Well, I used to write copy per shirt.
Mark Twain does.
That's true. I used to write copy per shirt.
Sometimes Mark Twain writes these words.
But we credit him as Samuel Clemens to be
Oh,
confounding.
excellent.
It's September 10th, 2014.
This is Idle Thumbs 175. I'm Chris Ramo. Sorry. I momentarily forgot again which one it was. It's 175, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We're on it. Sean.
I'm Sean Vanneman?
And I'm Danielle Riendo.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
Do you see what just happened there?
It was weird.
The new setup. We reorganized the microphones.
Yeah, we organized our room.
We gotta just go around, though.
What does that mean?
I didn't know that
go around.
I was unaware that the order in which we introduced ourselves was based on where we sat.
Oh, it's not. It just seemed weird because of the new seating.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all it was, I think.
Okay, because nothing has actually changed in our relationships to each other. Chris has always been between me and Danielle. You've always been to my left.
It's true.
That's not
Although,
always
Jake,
true.
you're usually on my left.
Usually I'm sitting where Danielle's
Yeah.
sitting.
You're
Yeah,
still
Jake is
I'm
usually
sitting.
where Danielle is.
Everything I know is wrong.
That's
We're
okay.
doing good. We're doing
We're
good.
fine.
Good.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
Hey, we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I've
Like 3 weeks.
I missed 2 weeks, and I felt pretty bad about
They're
that.
breckening.
But
I
there
know,
was
I was breckening a little bit there. It's a bit of breckening.
172 you were on with Nick, though, right?
Yes.
So I haven't seen you in a month.
Oh my god. That's a long time. That's a really long time with
So
no
much
cast.
has changed.
So much has
I've
changed.
Yeah, the
Shaved
internet
a month.
exploded.
Kind of. The internet shat itself, and here
I
we
think
are.
it was in the I think it'd been sitting on the toilet the entire time, and then just the past week was the...
It
The
made
internet,
a decision.
the internet had been holding in that,
Yeah,
holding
it'd
that in for a
been-
while.
yeah, trying to
It
figure
was
out whether
brewing
it was
for
going to do it or not.
some time.
You keep thinking it's done, too, and it's fucking not.
I've had days like that.
God, speaking of that, I just like
Quad Duker days.
2 minutes ago on accident saw this tweet that someone sent to Tim Schafer that says, "Hey Tim, how about you spend less time on vacation and Twitter and finish your fucking game? #GamerGate."
Oh,
That's what GamerGate's been about all along. Tim's vacation.
That kind of
So they're full Obama-ing him now.
all the
That's
way.
where we are.
right,
If Tim eats a cheeseburger not at his desk,
right.
I love it.
Well, it's just that it's such a great illustration of the fact that all of this stuff is just kind of whatever people feel like getting mad about.
Right, so at this point, like you said, Sean, you could just replace #GamersGate or
Thanks,
GamersGate
Obama.
with Thanks Obama.
It is
Obama.
basically a thanks Obama now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that lovely? We've
Well,
come
because it's
full
now we put a
circle.
bow on it, right? Now it's just
Yeah.
it's dead to meaning.
Which means we probably don't need to talk about it very much more because it's clearly there is nothing to even talk about. It is devoid of substance.
I've been relatively off
I'm sure
Twitter
individual
for a few days,
people
and
may
it's
have
so good.
Thoughts that are real. But
I miss people. Like, I miss my friends, but like not. I talked about it 2 episodes ago, but not having this constant stream of stuff, I feel so much better
It was
at my
nice.
desk, working, being alive,
Being a person.
going to Whole Foods and not being in line, looking at like, oh, bomb went off and whatever. Oh, that person's a racist. Like, whatever. It's just so much nicer. And I don't mean to be putting my head in a hole. I'm not like Punxsutawney filling this one, but
Well, when I went
better.
to Tahoe, that's why I missed the episode where I think you all discussed this. I actually listen when I'm not on, and so I listened to that, and you had a great discussion and all that. That's good stuff. I was in a cabin in the woods. No, there's no buts. I was in a cabin in the woods that week at Lake Tahoe, and it was delightful, except for the fact that I was getting a lot of threats and harassment through Twitter, so I made sure to not check too often.
that's good.
It was just so much.
So you just stored them up.
Just enough, to hate the world for like a few minutes every day.
Right, because you
instead.
can't not be aware of it at all.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting, I won't go into any kind of detail, especially my girlfriend got this a lot worse than I did. We were getting like our friends who were concerned about us were sending us things like, hey, there's a Reddit thread about hacking your bank account. Like, hey, maybe check into that. So, yeah, that was fun. It was fun to ignore it while I was actually on the lake, though. I went stand-up paddling.
Right.
That was
But
really
there's
fun.
a point past which the harassment is actually, it is irresponsible for you to
you're
completely
just being
ignore.
negligent.
Exactly.
of your
Because
own
then it's
safety.
like your own
Yeah.
life and safety are at risk.
Basically.
Yeah, cool.
So you need to
Well, good.
check up on these things.
Great.
Basically. But yeah, I made a game about dad jokes too. That's also what I
You
did
did?
in Tahoe. Yes.
I didn't see this.
Oh, it's not out yet.
Oh.
I'm still finishing the art. I did all the design and
Can I get a Cabal
coding.
early access?
Yeah, of course you can. You can even get it like a special joke in the game if you want.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just put.
Nepotism.
Just make sure that when a dad at one point tells a joke that no one laughs at, he says, "What? No love for dad," and then
would be good.
we'll be fine
I
forever.
wrote a dad joke today
Oh my God.
accidentally.
Do tell.
What does a pig take for bad breath? An ointment. Hi, Jake.
Oh, that was delightful. I got my...
It seems like GamerGate's not over after all. I have some issues to raise.
I feel like you could tighten
Yes.
that up if it's like,
It's first draft.
Yeah, okay.
Don't put it on the podcast.
yeah.
It's understandable.
Because you need something that like both ointment and mint, like
I know. I
splits
wasn't.
the
I know.
difference
It's
there.
not
I know.
one of the better
A
ones.
couple, you get there.
We'll workshop
couple
it.
drafts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, all day.
I got my actual dad to record the lines.
That's
in the
pretty
dad
cool.
joke
That's
game
good.
in his
That's
full
good.
Rhode Island accent. So,
Nice.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that'll
that's
be-
good. That's
that'll
a
be
good dad.
exciting.
Quality dad.
I have a quality dad, so
Yeah.
good
Wow.
times.
Cool.
That's great.
Anyway, and now we're here.
Now we are here. I'm sorry. I'm just going to inject this. For like weeks, I think Jake and I have been meaning to talk about that stupid desert golfing game. When I say stupid, I mean really.
Oh, you say Jake and I as if I actually played it.
Because you said, because you said last week you wanted to talk about it.
No, what? Desert golf?
Yeah.
It was something else that I wanted to talk about.
Oh,
Go
because
ahead.
after our pre-PAX podcast, you were like, "Oh, we didn't talk about desert golfing," so I assumed that meant you'd played it. But I guess that was a silly assumption.
No.
I
Well-
think Jake was just having one of his episodes. We just talked about all the games we didn't talk about. Like, oh, we didn't talk about Metal Slug.
Mule.
Yeah, we still haven't covered NHL 95, 96, 97.
God, when Jake moved out, I found a copy of NHL 95
Oh, that's mine.
in our house.
Yeah, that's mine.
Of course it is.
That's excellent. For
It's
the
the one
Genesis,
thing that was left
I just
behind.
left that behind.
You left that and a slow cooker.
he left it in the slow
Yeah, it was a
cooker.
Genesis copy of the NHL 95.
That's excellent.
Just in the
Great
office.
game.
That's cool.
I mean,
In your house. One of those. Oh, in the office of your house. Anyway, no, desert golfing. I haven't played it. I just the only reason that I remembered it is because I wanted you to talk about it because I follow a bunch of game developers on Twitter,
Yeah, this game kind of.
and all they talk about is this game. But
Well, there was like 2 weeks in a row where there was the 1-2 punch of Swing Copters, and then Desert Golfing, both of which I and a bajillion other game developers played a lot of. And they're very different.
Yep.
But they're both really good examples of how incredibly simple games, like how design choices make a huge difference, even in games that are in a lot of ways very, very simple.
I did play Swing Copters.
Oh, okay. We can talk about that. Yeah. Desert Golfing is cool. You can get it on iOS for like $1 or $2 or something. I mean, it's not expensive at all.
So it's a premium title.
It is a premium title, exactly.
That wasn't
and
sarcasm.
That's what they're called on that platform, right? Yeah.
I don't know. This seems like you have to pay for it. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And
It's the gold Apple Watch of iOS
God.
games. Anyway,
I don't
sorry.
want to talk about that stuff.
No. Here ends our Apple Watch segment.
So it's a very, very simple game. It's like 3 colors, I think. There's sand, sky, and your ball. And a couple other props, I suppose. And you use a kind of drag, pull back to like golf mechanic to control angle and power of your swing.
Like the way that you'd launch like a Flappy Bird, for
Yeah, I was
instance?
going to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
an angry
so
bird.
An Angry Bird?
Adam
Excuse me.
Saltzman,
Yeah, the way
Adam
you'd launch
Saltzman
Flappy
of,
Bird launches himself.
Cannibal Claim called Desert Golfing the Dark Souls of Angry Birds, which is incredible and so accurate. Because the simplicity of this game, it just tracks the total number of golf swings that you have used across the entire game, which consists of like thousands of holes. The game kind of gives you a score that it submits to Game Center at hole 1000, but then it just keeps going. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it tracks the number of swings you've used in just a very, very simple, just incrementing list, or like incrementing, integer number that just goes up. And so the effect of that is that even though it's very simple, it makes every single swing feel incredibly precious, which just lends a huge amount of weight to every single thing you do, which is totally not how Angry Birds is, because in Angry Birds, each level just resets itself and you start over and you can try the same level as many times as you want. Whereas Desert Golfing, you download it and there's no save game, there's no restore, there's no try a level again. You just go. And if you quit the game and you come back to it, you're just exactly where you were before. Like, there's no button to start a new game.
Doesn't it wipe your score, start at hole 0?
No, there isn't. If you want to do that, you have to delete the game and reinstall it, which is great. I think it's a great design decision. I think it's really, really smart. It's a great example of how not putting things in your game actually like has a huge impact on the way it feels.
It also just it reminds me of what we were talking about today. Like, I made this comment yesterday, which was like completely reckless, which was, we're trying to put something in the game and Jane like wasn't working on it and she was like just making jokes about other shit and she's like, oh, I just must clearly not want to build this thing. And I was like, if you don't want to build it, then it's probably not worth even putting in, because like it can't be fun if we don't want to make it. And like I said that honestly, but like
but then very
immediately
quickly
like,
realized
that's ridiculous. So that like led out to a conversation about like Will's working on save load right now. So it's like, he's like, oh, maybe I don't want to work on save load. Fuck it. Maybe the game doesn't need save load. So maybe that's what happened. I just imagine all of my creative decisions are always based on burning the least amount of calories and working the least.
Sure.
So maybe it wasn't brilliant.
I mean, it's possible. Sometimes that can be really valuable simply because so few games ever do rethink those basic assumptions. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just the complete like just the novelty of a modern game being as stripped down as this is in itself interesting.
Right.
But if every single game did that, it would become less interesting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it would become interesting again for the game that did put the one.
So like, check this out.
In,
Your progress is retained and you can reset it if you choose.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
It's brilliant because you can learn to get good at the game and then start over.
Sorry.
History Channel face right there.
So one of my favorite things about this game this is an experience that does not occur that often these days, and I think it's one of the reasons that Adam Saltzman made the Dark Souls comparison. When this game came out, it was I guess because Okay, so there are very few reasons as a game developer to release a game on iOS these days, or Android, or whatever. Like, that is a like just cutthroat, incredibly difficult, like very stacked against you platform to launch on, relative to something like Steam.
You kind of have to do it just because you want to.
Yeah, but there are a couple things that are cool about it for very specific outcomes that I don't think are significant enough to justify like committing studio resources against it. But for example, this game had no, or at least if it had any marketing ahead of time, it was way too small scale for me or most people to be aware of. As far as I was aware, and it seemed like as far as most people who played it when it came out were aware, this game just suddenly appeared. It was there. It's by the guy who made EnviroBear 2000, if you guys have played that. Yeah. And I guess he's made a bunch of iOS games, because if you look at other games by this developer, there's like a dozen in there. And so this game just suddenly appeared, and it was from a name people knew, or at least people of a certain, category knew. And so they downloaded it, started playing it, and it was this really cool experience, this shared experience of being on Twitter or whatever, and just participating in this discovery of like, is this game as simple as it seems? It seems like it is. Is it not? Wait, is this randomly generated? I'm not sure. There were like huge Twitter chains of like professional game developers going back and forth for like the first 3 days of this game's existence, trying to figure out if the game was randomly generated, or if so, to what extent. And like, it's clearly not. Like, it's once you play enough of it, it's obvious that it is not.
But there's thousands of levels. So people had proposed that it was generated by a seed that can test for passable levels, and that seed is baked into the game or something.
Right,
like that.
and with possibly some like manual adjustment by the designer, which was then baked into the game. So it's the same for everybody. But then that also means like it must have a finite number of levels, right? Like, there's no way this game has a deterministic random level generator that. It would just, if you play this game, you'll know why that would be not something you could reliably do. It would potentially make the game just like incomplete, like at certain levels maybe unpassable. Anyway, whatever. I mean, I guess maybe that's possible. I guess if you spend enough time on it, but I don't think that's the case. It does make me wonder how many levels there are for this thing, and it was a really just that whole experience of. Then there's like a little. Like a vase or something in the level that you, like, 500 levels in, there's a little vase on the desert, and if your golf ball strikes it, it will just impart a little physics impulse to it, and the vase will like knock over, and people are like, "Are you supposed to get that in the hole? Will like a secret thing happen?" I don't know. You wouldn't normally think twice about it, except that this is the most minimalist game. You've seen.
So then, when there's
months,
one thing that has any meaning to it, you're like,
there's
what
one thing that is blue,
putting you in an all-white
never...
room for days, and then walking in and putting one tiny marble on the ground,
exactly.
and walking out, because that would be your world.
Yes,
now. That thing would be the most fascinating.
Right.
Yeah,
and I don't know if the vase does anything or not, but just it's when
it obviously does something like. It's done it.
Exactly.
Right. All that it might do is drive everyone mad.
It has done is this at least.
Exactly. It is at the very least, it is the perfect gem, the Diablo II perfect gem of desert golfing. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah. We've talked about this in the podcast.
Okay, yeah. Like in the Diablo II chat client, for those who didn't listen to this podcast years ago when we talked about this, this was just a little like gem thing in the middle of the chat screen, the shared pre-game chat interface that you could click on and off, and it would just light up and then unlight up. And if you clicked it just a ton of times, it would eventually say "perfect gem activated." And people are like, "What is this? Like a way to like make?" Because there's a thing in the game called perfect gems, where if you combine enough gems in your quadratic cube, you can like socket them into items, and they make them better. And those perfect gems are better than regular shitty gems. And
naturally,
yeah,
as one would expect,
better than chipped gems, for instance. And then, like years later, I think someone from Blizzard was like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't do anything. We just thought it was funny," But it was like this, shared feverishly.
God, that's so good.
Yeah, kind of speculated upon thing that was part of this game for no reason other than to cause people to wonder about it.
I swear if the perfect gem is activated, you have a 20% better chance of...
Yeah. Well, it essentially creates urban legends. It
creates myth.
Like it creates myth inside a game community, which is great. I mean, it's just the amount of effort for the team to implement that was zero. And the amount of like worthwhile output that resulted is fairly
you know that where that came
all
from
is under the umbrella of entertainment.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think is the thing. It's like it is now just this like entertaining.
They surely
force.
didn't mean for that thing to generate lore, though. The UI designer probably put a pretty gem in the chat, and then whoever hooked it up was like, "Oh, I made it so if you click it, it lights up." And then someone else was like, "If you click it 1,000 times, I made it say a stupid thing that no one will ever see."
right.
Oh, so wonderful.
And that's the story of the perfect gem.
I mean, that's how Kojima designs his games. So
And then
his mysteries, as it were.
Is it?
Well, I mean, that's PT is basically an entire series of that sort of thing.
I like it. His mysteries makes it sound
His
like an old lady
mysteries.
watching.
Like watching.
Her stories.
That's like how Kojima makes his stories.
Kojima's mysteries.
I mean, I would watch that probably.
If Kojima was like the guest showrunner of PBS Mystery for a season.
Yeah, or like Murder, She Wrote was Kojima's creation.
Was 10 minutes of someone climbing a ladder.
I love that.
That'd be wonderful.
So the desert golfing, it had felt like parts of that perfect gem Diablo 2 thing for me, but on this micro scale, because whereas Diablo 2, that's something that you would encounter, you would just have spontaneous conversations about that with random people who were just whoever in the chat room at any given moment. And also that game sold, 10 million plus units. So more than that, I think. So it was this massive phenomenon. Whereas this desert golf thing, my experience of this weird mystery was like 6 other video game industry professionals like rampantly speculating on Twitter. So it was it's like a micro version of that other thing, but was still totally fascinating and like additive to the game for me. And also it feels like the game has not been a huge sales phenomenon. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think I'm like number 6 or 8 or something on like the world leaderboard, because I totally did delete my game when I was done and started over and play through it again when I was better at it. But also like that, well, whatever. It's because it's a fun game. I really liked it.
It's fun to be the best, I guess.
Well,
it's fun to cheat.
Yeah. What can you say? I can't get out of my blood. I'm inherently corrupt.
That's true.
Well, we all know that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Come on.
I saw the chart on the internet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw those red lines.
Oh, you saw those MS Paint,
connecting
Redline.
lines.
Yeah, I'm all over those. But I would assume that any game in which like you or anyone you know is in the top 10 or even could be in the top 10 is a game whose user base is, not
rather small.
So you don't think anybody in this room is good enough to be great at anything? That's what you're saying. Game
Yes.
wise.
That's what's going on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am definitively stating that. I'm uncategorically in support of that.
I mean, I think it would be you out of the 4 of us.
No, this guy fucking plays Dota.
Well, that's right. Dota, that's true.
I'm the best person at Dota in this room.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Still to be seen.
Oh, that's true.
That's actually worth. Is that worth talking about?
Yeah, we could mention it.
I don't know, yeah.
There is in the works, but not on the calendar, a Dota Newcomers tournament that like Ollie and Jane are sort of spearheading, which is people who have played very little or hopefully none. Chris is probably the most experienced in that you've played like 4 or 5 matches, I think. Mm-hmm. That would be the upper limit.
And
he's an exception.
I'm actually probably high up on the experience curve as someone who has installed and opened Dota and clicked through the menus.
Right.
That's true.
You can play the tutorial part 1 and part 2, which is the...
Yeah, we're
all
encouraging
you're allowed
people to do that so everyone knows
And then there's 8
what the buttons
teams that
do
will
and
then
stuff.
battle, and
Yeah.
Brad Muir and I will do the commentary.
Our tournament ladder is, I think, actually almost full, but we're hoping that after running this, we then encourage a bunch of other idiots to make the same mistake that we've made and to do their own
but
newcomer
it's
tournaments
single
as well.
elimination, 1 of 1 .
Yeah.
Like...
Oh, it is? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's
there's
best out
no
of
there's
3,
no
it's
there's no
gross.
double
Sudden
elimination.
death all the way
it is
through.
like it is lose is win or go home.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah,
way.
because most people
Because we could
would
probably-
prefer to go home.
we could probably do it in a
That's
day
probably true.
because there's 8 teams. That's only 4 rounds, right?
I think
Yeah.
Jane tried to recruit me for this, actually.
I think she did as well.
Yeah.
Our team's name is
You should do
Clickin'
it.
and Screamin', which is the best name of all
Yeah,
time.
Clickin' and Screaming is very good.
Streaming.
Yeah.
That's it. That's excellent.
But yeah.
I've never played Dota.
Have I got a tournament for you?
Is there a
Sorry.
is there a Twitch channel that there's got to be someone who has clicking and streaming, right? That's
I don't
got to
know.
be someone's like
It's yours now.
YouTube personality.
But clicking and screaming is more accurate to Dota.
Oh, for sure, especially for our likely
Well,
experience.
and
with Dota.
my experience of being near anyone who's playing Dota,
That's true.
those two events happen more frequently than anything else.
How dare you.
So then also,
Did you guys end up going and playing Screencheat at Screencheat?
no, I really
Screen
Fuck me
sheet.
in the fuck-
Screen
Screen
sheet.
Fuck
cheat.
me. Just do it.
No.
Oh, did we play Screencheat? The newspaper faxed to your door.
Screen
Screen cheat.
cheat.
No, we
You didn't go play it.
Neither of us played it.
I did not.
You talked about it
I
last
did go
week,
play it. I
and then
talked
you
about last
played
week,
it.
And then I did go play it. So if you guys didn't play it, there's probably not a whole lot to talk about.
Well, the key thing that I didn't understand last time, other than its name and
Other
everything
than
about it,
everything.
was so. It is like GoldenEye. It's a 4-player.
Precisely.
It is precisely like GoldenEye, but the thing that is not drawn on
It
your
is
screen is the other players.
Your gun is
Your gun is drawn, but I mean,
on your
effectively,
on your
everyone is
quad,
playing as an invisible person.
Everyone is basically same screen multiplayer. Every person is invisible.
Yes. I didn't entirely understand that key point of the entire thing.
It's just easier to think of it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to every other player is invisible. Everyone is invisible.
Yeah, you can't-
So you have to be like, oh, he's kind of near that red sofa near the blue wall. I'll just shoot in that general area.
Did you play?
But then when you do hit somebody and you get them, it's so satisfying because, like, for, I don't know, 15 frames, a guy ragdolls to the ground and goes,
Oh, they appear just to die?
yeah, it's so good.
good.
It's really nice. Yeah, it's
Good.
really satisfying. No, I went and played it quite a bit at the show, and now I have a code for it that we can
Nice.
play. Yeah. But it's so good.
Did it feel so? It felt like something you'd want to play more of, and not just a novelty.
It is not novel at all. Yeah, it is.
I don't think that's what you meant.
No, it is not a novelty.
Yeah.
It is novel, but it is not.
You
a
could
novelty.
see getting at least like a couple hours out of that thing with some friends.
Yeah. No, it's as fun. I mean, it's as well made as something like Samurai Gun or any sort of
cool.
same
All right.
screen multiplayer that we've been enjoying
That's
for long
awesome.
periods of time.
Because it sounded to me like
there's
a.
lots of different
and
weapons.
this is. I don't mean this negatively, but like it sounded to me like a game jam game or something. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
No,
I have a
it
cool
has
idea,
legs. It definitely
and
has
then
legs.
like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. That's
I
cool.
mean,
No, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
It definitely feels like it
Yeah.
has legs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, another design
Invisible legs.
Like,
Sorry.
Oh
Go
my
on.
god.
It does.
Welcome.
Welcome back, Danielle. It's good. I've missed you. You can only equip a weapon once per life, so you have a bunch of different weapons. 6 to
But
8.
you choose what your loaded is for that life, basically?
Basically, is in your first chunk of being alive, you can hit the bumpers to switch to a gun, and then you can't switch from it, which is interesting.
Weird. Do you know what the reason for that is, other than just
No,
to
I
make
didn't
you make
ask,
a choice?
and I feel like I really should have. I was talking to the developers for a while, and then I didn't bring that up. And I don't really know why I didn't bring that up. Because it feels like a bug, but it's also interesting. Because it gives your brain something else to do when you respawn, as opposed to, like, go get that guy. It gives your brain sort of this, wait, I'm using the grenade launcher. Maybe I should switch to the shotgun or the blunderbuss or whatever the heck. It's a very, very interesting game. It's like, I like how much of it takes place inside your own brain. It's the same thing that I used to like about playing same screen multiplayer, period.
Yeah,
but I didn't really, I mean, you could obviously play a lot of same screen multiplayer on the Xbox, and less and so obviously into the 360, and certainly now on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But the N64 is really the last system where that was just so much
that
of
was
my
what
life.
it was about, right?
And it was
Yeah.
it was a perfect combination of I'm too young to drive a car, and the technology is really promoting. There's 4 control ports on the front is
Right.
about this experience. So, like, if you're 14 in the year whatever I was
1998.
14, yeah, that's what you did. But no, it's great. It's really, really good.
That's cool. Did anyone actually end up getting a chance to play Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes?
No, because so I went there with Will and Norm. You were with me, right?
Yeah, it was just
And
full.
we're like, and it was day 1 of the show or day 2 of the show, so we could have just sat down and played it, and then we had somewhere to go. And then when you came back on Monday, or Sunday.
It was on. I came back on Monday, and it was just a line out the door.
hour and a half to play this game.
Oh god.
So
That's
do you
what happened when
know
I-
what this
when I
game
went.
is?
No, I have no
you're
idea.
gonna love
Okay,
this.
I'm interested. Yeah.
Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is an Oculus Rift game. I actually don't know if it's out. I think that they just have an update list on the site where you
It
can
is not
hear
out.
about it. Okay, it's not out. It's an Oculus Rift game for 2 players. I guess 2 or more players, but only one person has an Oculus Rift on. So the person who has the Oculus Rift on is inside like a sort of storagey warehouse-looking room, and inside of a briefcase is an elaborate bomb. And they have no real knowledge, but they have the ability to sort of poke at it and do things to it. The other
They
person,
can interact with it, but
Yeah.
the feedback is it explodes,
or
or
it
does
doesn't.
not explode.
the other person or people sit next to them and don't have anything. They can't see what's inside the rift. They can't see the bomb, but they have
They have no television screen.
they have nothing.
Okay.
But they have
a binder.
like a binder that is a bomb dismantling manual that contains
Like
all,
a physical binder.
Yes,
Physical
made
binder.
of
that contains
paper
all
and cardboard.
information
So
about
for this,
known
for this
bombs.
game to be out,
This is amazing.
does that mean there's like a PDF that you can like download and
I
print
imagine that
out
it will be
when
the
they-
game and a PDF,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because that you're supposed to print out. So then,
Or you could probably. I hope there is an online store where they will send you a fucking.
a nice one.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's built to create the situation of like an episode of 24 or any movie of this kind.
Sorry, of this kind, of any movie.
I don't know.
American Beauty, where Kevin Spacey disarms that bomb with
like,
the help of that.
There's 3 wires.
pretty neighbor
okay,
girl.
is the second wire brown with black stripes? I don't know. It's dark.
It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I can't take it.
But yeah, so the intent though is the person's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're saying what you see, and then the other person asks you, okay, well then, there's a bundle of wires. Is it 4 wires? Is,
Yeah.
is the third one
It
red?
has a marking
cut
on
that.
it.
No, wait, don't cut
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It has like a it has a marking on it. Wait, does it look kind of like a figure 8 with a tail? No. Okay, don't good.
It's like a really hardcore space team.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's like but Space Team is sort of has that like WarioWare
Space Team's like
style.
go.
Yeah.
But this is
Yeah, like you're just confronted with sort of.
you have 5
Oh,
minutes
that's excellent.
to disarm the
I
bomb.
think so. I think there's multiple bombs of multiple grades of
Clearly,
complexity
yeah,
and stuff.
obviously.
But like,
It's really exciting. It makes me really excited. I mean, I've been like 3 weeks now of being
We've been a big booster for the Oculus
incredibly
Rift.
excited about VR in general. But it's just another like feather in the cap for this is interesting.
yeah, like
to me.
it's a thing that you could conceivably do as an actual multiplayer game, like an asymmetrical multiplayer game, where one player just has this and the other player has virtual stuff. But this was actually set up at the board gaming area of the Indie Mega booth at PAX, and I think that's actually closer to what this experience is. It feels more to me like it's a tabletop game, except that one player just has a crazy headset that they strap on.
Yeah, it has to be physical.
Because it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but they chose for it to be, and I think that's
fun
really
that
cool.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool that you get to leaf through like the Bomb Squad manual.
And you don't have to be. I mean, you wouldn't have to be in the same place, right? Like one person could have
Right.
an Oculus.
Oh,
you could
it's way
Skype
better
it,
if
right?
you've got the
Yeah.
phone and you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
actually talking to someone across the country. If you're talking to your friend in Quantico. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to
cool.
play it because, yeah, like you said, by the time we wanted to play it, by the time we're like, okay, let's just dick around and play games at PAX, everyone wanted to do that. So,
It's fun when that's. I don't know. Like, I don't want to kind of critique PAX as a show on cast. I don't think that's really fun for anybody. But it's nice that even though PAX is becoming something different, that there can still be these little breakout, like, darlings of the show that draw all this attention and people are kind of buzzing about on the floor. And I saw so many people talking about that game.
Yep.
It was really exciting. And I mean, it's got to be so exciting for the 2 or 3 people who built it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that buzz.
also, if you want to look at, there's a trailer for it and some images of the manual and the Oculus Rift stuff and a screenshot at keeptalkinggame.com.
Nice.
I really want to play it, but I did not get a chance to. I don't know. Did you want to talk about swing copters at all?
I mean, I would.
Swing for the fences.
Swing copters is weird.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Missed you, Danielle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want me to go back now? I know.
No, it's
No,
fine.
it's fine.
We like you a lot.
Swing
You just have to get
copters.
it all out. You know, you just have to get it all out.
It's not all
I
out.
do.
Let's not.
Yeah. Don't
Idle
pretend.
Thumb's 181.
All the dad jokes will be gone. It's worse because of what I'm doing right now. So.
Yeah.
It's worth what?
My dad joke game has put me in
that's
this
true.
state.
Yeah, you're in
I've been
that- you're in
writing
that
dad
mode.
jokes,
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yep.
Do you go on?
So Swing Copters is weird because it has basically been two totally separate games.
Step one, though,
Since it
Swing
came
Copters
out.
is the new game from the guy who made Flappy Bird.
Yes.
Oh!
Flappy Bird guy disappeared for a while and came back with a new game called Swing Copter. And what you were going to say, I imagine, is the first version of it was a fucking impossible nightmare game in a really nice way.
In a really good way,
Yeah.
I think. So Ian Bagost actually wrote a really great piece about this. It was so good, and of course people gave him shit about it because it was like, just a fucking game. Why are you being so pretentious or whatever? But like, I thought it was really good. He opened by talking about the notion of like how even though really, really top shelf athletes are like among the most sort of disciplined, talented, precise humans on the planet, they're also some of the most susceptible to irrationality, like superstition and kind of like baseless, like. And
Michael Jordan wore the same North Carolina undershorts
right.
for like
he had a bunch of
25
of
years.
examples of that, right?
Right.
And like his he was talking about this notion that like if you are someone who exists at this impossible level of kind of human ability and perfection, like how can you rule out anything? Like when the thing that gives you the edge over the other like superhuman specimen is it's basically nothing. Like it's anything. It's like the wind on this given day, or it's like the tiniest factor that causes you to like jumps. It's fucking chaos theory. Like, like how do you like what edge could you ever possibly give? Like what theoretical edge could you ever give up? Like it was about this sort of just he was writing about kind of just the chaos of like sublime performance, and it was a really good piece. And one of the reasons he was writing about this with respect to Swing Copters is because Swing Copters is kind of impossibly hard. Like I got really good at Flappy Bird. Like
we all saw your like 999 Flappy Bird score.
I didn't get 999, but I could get, like in the hundreds pretty reliably. And then Swing Copters is like, oh my God. I remember I got to 5 and I was over the moon. And then I got to 12 and I was like, I'm a fucking genius. Like, and then until he revised the game, I think 15 maybe was my like high point. Which
so in Flappy Bird, you were just trying to get through these little gaps.
Yeah. So in Flappy Bird is a 1-button input game where you control this like bird character that is constantly falling down and also constantly moving to the right. And every time you tap the screen, like just anywhere on the screen, it's just one simple input. Your bird has just a little vertical.
You would like flap
impulse.
once and sort of
flap
jump
once. So all you're doing is you're trying to flap this bird like such that you make it through these randomly vertically positioned gaps in pipes. And so
it's a mix of like it's like a slalom, but
yeah. So Swing Copters is actually kind of like if you took Flappy Bird and just rotated it 90 degrees. So in this game, you control this like balloon copter thing.
It's like a little guy with a helicopter hat.
Little guy with a helicopter hat, right? And you still only have one input, but in this case, you're constantly moving up.
So you go
like your
left to
character
right,
is constantly moving
relative?
right. And so every time you tap, it just swaps his direction.
So he's like
even though
leaning a little to the left, then you tap and he starts leaning a little to the right.
So it's
Right.
still binary. It's still binary input. It's not like it's not character relative.
No, you just literally when you tap, he just overcorrects
Yes.
the other direction.
So there's still
Okay.
it's still like tapping anywhere on the screen does the same thing.
You understand?
But in this
you
case,
could imagine that. Being
yes,
like
I can
dragged
imagine
to
what
the
you're
left
saying,
over
but
the
it
right.
but it is
It's
not that.
Okay.
It is simply one tap anywhere on the screen does the exact same thing, which is switch directions, which means it's a context sensitive input whose meaning is changing every single tap. Just it's toggling. And what the thing that makes this so much more, the thing that I thought was incredible about the first version of Swing Copters is that it took a feeling that it felt like existed in Flappy Bird, which is that, oh my god, the chaos is like unmanageable and the slightest misstep sends the whole thing like out of control. But in reality, in Flappy Bird, you can get into a basic rhythm if you play it enough where you kind of almost be on autopilot.
Yeah, where you know
like,
how long to wait before tapping to jump into the next one.
You can sort of get away with a late tap or an extraneous tap.
Exactly. You can like be on a dive bomb and correct by just like 2 quick taps and you're fine.
Right.
Like
the context is the same.
Yes. Yeah. But in Swing Copters, again, especially in the first version, if that was released, that ability to like correct for the game's chaos was entirely discarded because the longer your character goes in a given direction, he actually is constantly accelerating, which means that like if you wait more than like half a second to reverse his direction, at that point he's going so fast that like even after you change direction, he's going to keep skidding in the direction he was already going before he can generate like the inertia, like, you know, his momentum will keep carrying him, until you can until it'll like swing back the other way. It's crazy. Like, it is intense. It feels like you are just constantly, like, when you're succeeding in that game, it is heart pounding because you know that you are just barely managing to restrain this just like utter disaster. It's like how I felt years ago on the podcast. For people who remember, we talked about Minotaur China Shop, which is a much less like rigorous game than Swing Copters for sure. It's more of just like a joke, but it really captures that same thing. Like, you're this bull walking around a China shop, and it's all like 3D physics driven, and it is so difficult to keep the bull from just accidentally like brushing a like China teacup or something and sending it crashing, and then the bull fucking freaks out. Like, you really feel like it really powerfully and in a hilarious way captures the feeling of this like brutish monster, like focusing every ounce of his self-control to not just hulk out all over the place. It was really effective in that respect. And like Swing Copters, again, the original version felt that way with this like constant swinging back and forth motion. And then Dong Nguyen, I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, the developer of the game, released a new version that it still works the same way. Like, all of the, you know, basic like relationships are the same. The inputs are the same. It's just all of the like coefficients are just scaled way down so that, you know, there's less momentum. Like, there's less inertia.
Turns way
switch
tighter.
direction.
Yeah.
Like, the turns are tighter. Like, I think the holes are wider and they're farther apart from each other. Like, everything is just tuned to be easier. And it just, if you're the kind of person like I was who got pretty good at Flappy Bird, it just makes the game trivial. Like, at that point, you can just, my first time through, I think I got 55 in the new version. And at that point,
now it's like
it's
too easy.
Yeah, like, what's even the point, right? Like, I think I played it 2 or 3 more times, and I'm like, well, I'm never going to play this again. It's pointless.
Also because your time it takes to get a great personal best run also scales.
Exactly. Yes, that is exactly something that eventually, like, after I got good enough at it, disenchanted me with Flappy Bird, is that at a certain point it becomes a matter of endurance, not in terms of like effort expended, but purely in terms of time.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm just going to be sitting here for fucking forever. Like, the thing that was incredible about the first version of Swing Copters, it's just something you do not encounter in modern games at all. This was like an old arcade game thing, was this notion that like every single second counts, because it is so hard to get a score of 1 that like to get a score of 10, which doesn't take that long. Like, the highest run that I had in the first version of Swing Copters versus the shortest run I had in Swing Copters are separated by like 20 seconds or whatever. You know, like, I don't know.
The capacity, or like your capacity for, this is a really not a good word to use, for boredom in games like that is effectively 0. The moment your brain thinks about something else and goes, oh, okay, or like, oh, I'm kind of, that feeling of just sort of like, of disengagement, I guess, the game is broken and done. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're gonna crash, but you're also not gonna feel like, oh, over it.
Right,
like, oh, I can do my thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of fascinating, because think of how many games where that like disengagement window is much wider. Like the game we're working on right now, even, you know, like, it's just like so many games whether it's through cutscene or just I go down through a couple boring corridors for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us is a great example.
Like almost any AAA game.
Right. I'm like, okay,
any
I'll just
genre.
gut through this boring part for a few minutes, and
Right.
then I'll get back to the really good stuff,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't.
And in some cases, desirable, like for pacing and purposes,
Right.
right? But in certain
With a
kinds
game
of
like
games,
this, it's literally a tenth of a second. If it creeps in, that thought of like, I should really go do something else, it's done. Like
Yeah.
the game is rendered completely
inert.
inert. Yeah, which I find fascinating and also really tough from a design standpoint.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it is that I think this guy, and despite what I said before about kind of like getting over Flappy Bird, I still think that game really actually was a great piece of design. I think it would be unfair to it because and for a lot of people, even getting to the point that I described would still be a very difficult thing. I'm not good at like all kinds of games.
If the game ended at 100 tubes, it just hit a wall and went. It could still be tens of hours for your average player.
For some people, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't mean to like denigrate that game. I still think it's real. I still think it was cool. I was so excited when Copters was just like the ultimate expression of that, or at least what seemed like the ultimate expression of that. And it seems like its developer, Dong Nguyen, it seemed like he is one of those guys who just does this stuff purely intuitively and does not like in any way necessarily care about the stuff that I just said. And the reason I think that is because like Jake, like you and I are on this like video game design mailing list that a bunch of other people, including he, is on, and there was a whole thread that started about Copters, and someone was like, "Oh my god, like the first true successor to Flappy Bird is here, and it's by the same guy. Like this is incredible." And like a bunch of other people chimed in, were sharing their thoughts on the game, and like I think some people weren't super into it, but most people really were really into it. And then someone like 12 posts in was like, "Oh, I think that guy's actually on this mailing list. Like, what do you think?"
This was after the game, after the easy version came out.
Oh,
Yeah, it was after the easy game came out, and there was a whole like new sub-thread to the thread about like what the hell happened to this game? Like, what is it? Like, what? And like I was like really critical. I'm like, this game has like lost all its magic. And then like one post later, someone's like, "Oh, the developer's here," and I'm like, "Oh no!" I felt like such a jerk. And then he came in, and it was just like, I like to make games where people can have fun, and I saw that people were like getting mad and not having fun, so I just decided to make the game much nicer so that people can have a good time. That's what video games are for. Goodbye, and then you had like a smiley face, and I'm just like, what? Like,
that's great.
I'm reading this, and then you like expand the message, and there's like a 4-paragraph treatise from me about why Copters is like the ultimate expression of like this like manage like harnessable chaos in games. Games are fun, and they're for everyone who likes the fun thing. Goodbye. And it was such my brain like just went to war with itself for like 10 seconds.
I wish I would have been sitting there for the Ren and Stimpy like zoom
Right.
in eye moment on Chris.
Exactly. Yeah.
What does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this mean about me?
Yeah, your digestion of that has nothing to do with what he said or his like. It's all about what you think about your opinion at that moment, which I find
exactly. And like, I will say that I think the reaction of some people to that exchange would be, "See, this just proves that like games are just for whatever. Like all your bullshit is just wanking, pretentious garbage." And like, but I actually still like. I mean, yeah, right. Like to some extent, sure, whatever. I probably am that, but also, it actually just kind of makes me fascinated that you can happen upon things like that through, I guess, either or maybe a combination of like intuitive talent
That's
as
exactly
a designer,
what I was just going to say.
or just providence.
Well, because
you know what I
people
mean?
don't
This like
understand the
pure
disconnect
grace, basically.
between criticism and creator intent.
Exactly.
Because they're completely different things. They have no bearing on each other. In my opinion. I mean, in the opinion of the history of criticism, actually. And I think that's really important because when you disengage from intent, you can start to pull apart things that are otherwise unexplainable, which I think is what Ian Bagos is probably getting towards, right? Like that last 0.001% of performance is actually divine, is actually sublime, can just be a person at the highest level, like at the upper curve of ability on their best day for a myriad of reasons.
Right.
And
which also explains why sometimes you'll get people in professional sports, or for that matter, in art or anything else, who have these seemingly like golden moments that they can never recreate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not because their intent was any different day one and day two, or because like their training regimen was flawed or something. Like,
well, people will instantly go and look for, like, outside of criticism. You'll try to find a narrative,
and you see the same thing actually with like business CEOs and things like that, right? People try to assign all of these like very calculatable like intentions and like practices to things that in a lot of cases we probably do not have like the language or understanding to actually comprehend.
Right. It's funny because in fantasy football, people try to do that.
Yeah.
And it happens consistently.
Making a narrative in a fantasy football league is the most crazy.
Right, because it's completely statistical.
There's nothing,
But
it's equally as valid as making a narrative out of an actual professional sports season.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Because, I mean, there was... I didn't play fantasy football this year.
That's why Dwarf Fortress is good.
Real beef with the NFL right now.
That's literally a random number generator.
But there's this running back for the Seattle Seahawks named Marshawn Lynch who is just an unstoppable killing machine. And this year he turned 31 and then also held out from his contract. So people build this narrative of, okay, he thinks his shit doesn't stink, so he's not working as hard because he's holding out and he wants more money, so he's not going to work as hard. Plus, 31 is this magical age where like just everybody just
That's so depressing.
And at least in the NFL, especially for running backs. And sure enough, their season opener was a week ago. And he would have been drafted really low in fantasy football leagues because of these narratives, because they're just these prescribed things that happen to these people, especially because of things that are completely unrelated to performance. Like contract holdout has literally nothing to do with performance. I mean, everything to do with it, but nothing tangibly on the field. And he just stomped people again. And we're like, oh. And everybody felt dumb, you know? And I think that's... people, I mean, it's just, I guess it's the most human thing is to make a narrative for the inexplainable.
Of course.
But that's what criticism, I think, is important for. Because you're not like, it's a good criticism doesn't try to weave a narrative of the unexplainable. It tries to pull apart the things that are like somewhat objective and subjective truths of a thing.
It can do that.
It can, but it's not its intent.
But it's not it's not trying to like put a cause and effect A to B linear correlation to the creator's intent.
Like a review of a bad Spielberg movie, a good piece of criticism about a bad Spielberg movie does not try to weave causality between Jaws and Warhorse. You know, like a bad review does, and I think bad. Well,
you could maybe also write an interesting piece about Steven Spielberg that does that. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
but I mean, I don't know if it's fair to do that via the lens of intent. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or if that's really criticism.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't feel like criticism.
I don't think.
For me.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about.
I may be somewhere like a little bit off, a few degrees like softer on this than you are, because I do think that intent can still be really fertile ground for writing and even potentially for criticism. I just don't. I think there is like often an impulse that it must be related or like connected or like, well, that's just not what this is even supposed to be. Like,
I'm just
that
trying
I
to combat
totally
the idea
take
that
issue
intent
with.
somehow renders criticism moot.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Right. Which is bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Which is completely bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Ugh. Wolf. Swing Copter sounds cool. Wolf indeed.
there's something nice about playing games like this. I mean, Desert Golf and Swing Copters are very different to one another, but they're also both just really great examples about how the smallest decisions, in some cases clearly regardless of what the creators meant to do with those decisions, can have just a massive impact on the experience. Which isn't to say that like that it's more important in a game like this where the things are stripped down, or that that kind of design is superior or anything. They're just really good cases to observe that, because there's so much less to get in your way. Like there's no complex story or like big incredible presentation to like distract you from the fact that like every single microsecond of this experience just comes down to these like very specific decisions. It's cool. It's a good, as someone who works on games, it's good to be reminded of that. Because I think in larger scale games, so many decisions just get made by rote, either because it's what the genre is, or because it's what the developers have done before, or it's because it's just like what the tool set is best set up to do, or whatever. Like, it's good to be reminded that like every single decision you make has a result, regardless of what you mean for it to be.
Yep.
I really hope that if you go through 1,000 gates and swing Copters, it's just a vase.
That's what I thought I was thinking of too.
You want to take a break?
That's really
Video game.
We would like to thank our first sponsor, NatureBox.
Hey, NatureBox.
Hey,
Thank you.
NatureBox.
NatureBox. I feel like we've gotten casual with NatureBox. NatureBox is like a friend now.
They're just like good buddies who just give. We
We just show up at their house and raid their fridge.
Yeah.
Raid their NatureBox.
Yeah.
Yeah, we show up
Just on
and
a
just eat
monthly
all
basis.
the.
Yeah. We have a standing date where it's like there's always like a presumed sort of ostensible reason, like, oh, I heard you got that new movie. Oh, hey, looks like you got a NatureBox on the counter here. Funny, I'm just gonna go.
Funny NatureBox that you would have that.
So NatureBox, if you are a first-time listener, you should check them out. They're a sort of like snack delivery service that will send you sort of wholesomely made treats to your home or office. You go to naturebox.com. You can use the promo code THUMBS
Oh, for the free sampler.
for a free sample.
It's crunchy, chewy, baked.
All mouthfeel, all flavors. You can choose whatever you want. We're partial. Chris is a savory guy.
NatureBox doesn't judge.
I'm all about savory.
NatureBox is there for you.
But yeah, they'll send you one thing of your choice plus some smaller samples of some other stuff for free for just the cost of shipping, which is cheap.
Yeah. So that's for the promo. You can get a full size sample and then a couple smaller
Go
samples.
to their website, type in, or is it just /thumbs?
It's naturebox.com/thumbs.
And for the cost of
THUMBS.
shipping, have someone just send you snacks just because you want them to. So do that.
So the cost of shipping is $2, which is that's the deal. And then we'd also like to thank our good friends at Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Squarespace if you're in Italy or
Or
Jake. Or wrong. They're an all-in-one web platform that will allow you to make a really beautiful website. Really great for portfolios, especially if you're an artist or a game designer or something that
But
has
also
big key
blogs,
art.
stores. You can post like all sorts of different media there. A lot of our friends have used them for, like you said, for portfolios of imagery and music and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
We have a reader, Matt Borchert perhaps, who writes in to say that he finally revamped his website so he could host a digital goods store. And he decided to use Squarespace because he heard about it here on the podcast. You can go to mattborchert.com. That is MattBorchert.com. And he has all kinds of like Photoshop brushes and templates.
Oh, that's
and,
awesome.
Like logo creation tools and like, textures and all kinds of stuff you can use if you're a graphic designer. Or I can imagine actually if you're working on a game, this stuff would be handy as well.
Or a Squarespace website.
Or if you're making your own Squarespace website. So anyway, that was a cool thing.
Their
that a
stock
reader sent
designs
in.
are great. They're also really customizable, and out of the box, it works on mobile, iPad, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a super talented web designer, you're going to be starting with a great template, and they have like drag and drop content. So be like, I want to put this here, put that there.
It's pretty good.
And plans start at $8 a month and come with a free domain if you sign up for a year. Cool. So you can go to squarespace.com, and here you'll use the offer code THUMBS to get 10% off your first purchase and support the show.
Great.
Thank you very much, Squarespace. And thank you, Matt and Chris and Danielle and
Thanks, Jay.
Video game.
I saw the most fucking Biden. Isn't Biden in like the like sick IROC Biden? You know what I mean? Like this isn't Biden like being cheeky.
Right.
This is Biden being Captain America Biden. You know?
Yeah, sure.
I saw this the other day, and I took a photo of it because I thought of you, and then I didn't show it to you. Just the sentence construction,
Including the quotations.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
hell is where ISIS will reside.
Oh god.
Like, it's just so perfect. The AC's still on. But I like it,
So very
but I know it doesn't sound good.
episode's just going to be like
Is it really that bad?
It is
that
noticeable.
bad. But what if it wasn't? What my theory presupposes is maybe it isn't
Let's creep it up in here. Wait a minute now.
too creepy.
Podcast after dark.
No,
We can split the difference here.
that's better.
There we
It
go.
went from Opium Den to N64 Basement, now to podcast.
It's just that's perfect.
That's where the podcast resides.
Somewhere between Opium Den and N64 Basement.
Yeah.
Sean, I think I've inherited your busted ass pop screen.
Welcome to hell.
Pooch.
Hell is where this pop screen shall reside.
Video game.
Hey!
Hey,
Back.
Hey.
Back.
Danielle, you played all kinds of games, I heard.
I played 4 games this week.
All right, that's all kinds.
Played 40 games.
40.
40 games.
4 games.
44 games.
All right, I'll start.
Unfortunately, the 4 games were Desert Golfing, Screencheat, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and Swing Copters. So we're
It's pretty
boned.
crazy about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring.
No, did you beat any of them?
I beat all of the games that I played.
Whoa, okay.
Really?
Well, actually, no, I did not beat one of them.
No.
Ugh, typical.
I know, right?
How-
All right, okay.
What's the deal?
The game I played today, I'll tell you about that one because it's very fresh in my memory. It is called
Right.
Curtain.
Oh, I heard this was really good.
It's excellent.
It's based on Hercule Poirot's final case.
Well, no, it's not.
Okay.
It's not, sadly. It's actually...
I don't even get that joke.
That's the final Poirot novel
It's-
by
it's-
Agatha Christie.
Oh my god! How deep? Wow!
On the day Destiny comes
pull.
out, come to Idle Thumbs for Poirot jokes.
Hercule.
That's what I'm like. Am I supposed to be laughing at this? I don't
No,
really
sorry.
understand.
It's because my parents...
There's a guy in his fucking Honda right now who's
He's
like,
so excited.
Poirot. I love it.
My parents had a ton of Agatha Christie in their house, and it was all printed in the 60s and 70s. And the ones that were printed after Agatha Christie died, the back covers of all of them have Poirot on them saying, "Have you read Curtain?" Because it was like
Oh, because that was the
she wrote it
at the time.
She wrote
right.
it pre World War II, worried she would die, and then it was basically locked in a vault and published after she was after
she was killed.
after she was murdered, after she died.
Who done it?
So,
Oh my god.
It doesn't actually match anything else, but it was a marketing frenzy in
Right.
the 70s,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Anyway, Curtain.
Apparently, the Poirot masterpiece series finally ended
yeah,
recently.
the last episode was Curtain.
Oh, really?
The same guy played Poirot for every single
I know.
book they
I
ever
watched.
made.
My parents watched it when I was a kid, and I watched it sometimes.
Yeah, I watched the last episode. It
Was it good?
was fine.
Yeah.
Was there a curtain?
No. I don't want to spoil the final Hercule Poirot mystery.
The killer's a guy named Kurt.
Whoa. No love for Dad. So you played Curtain
love
that has
for
nothing
Dad.
to do with Poirot.
That's right. Curtain is a first-person, glitched-out, super indie game. It's only about 20 or 30 minutes long. And this time, unlike
do you mean
Cyberpunk
glitched
Copula, I won't.
Glitched out. Come
It's
on, dude.
like all
There's
the
like a
Fucking
glitchy
get
aesthetic.
with it, dude.
yeah, it's just a glitchy aesthetic. Like all the
It's glitched out, Chris.
It's glitched out.
and I'm like my
Come on, old
glitched
man.
out.
Pooched out,
It's like
glitched out.
my boots are glitched out. You know, that's
Like those boots.
how it works. Thank you. I won't spoil it because it's the entire. Oh god, the entire thrust of the piece is about something very serious and actually very sobering. It is actually about sort of abusive relationships, and I won't spoil any more than that.
Okay, that's intense.
It is intense. It's an intense game. Go into it thinking, I'm in for something a bit serious, I suppose. And it's from a first person perspective. You wander around a house, an apartment, and you sort of see and experience the narrative as you wander around this apartment.
Is it on Steam? Is it just on the developer's site? Where do you get it?
I played it on itch.io.
Classic.
Oh
Itchio.
man, it's an Itchio.
It's an Itchio. Yeah, and also on Game Jolt.
God,
So-
It's an Itchio is just
I know.
like the 1985 ad for a rice cooker.
It's
Yep.
an Itchio. Have you brought your Itchio today?
yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. It's by Dreamfeel is the name of the developer.
It's by the band
Also,
Dream Theater.
yeah.
Wait, is it Dream Theater?
Dreamfeel.
Oh,
Feel.
Dreamfeel. Oh, so
like
Dream
like
Feel.
mouth.
so then it is.
Yes.
It's an Itchio from Dreamfield.
So is. It really is.
Your parents help you hook it up.
Oh god, yeah. Just like the Nemo home video system that never came out.
Nemo.
Yeah. Deep pull right there.
I don't even know. What
That is what Night Trap was actually going to play on. was the Nemo system. Which
Playing
was
Night
a
Trap on your
video
Nemo.
cassette video game system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Good
What?
stuff.
I had never even heard of this.
Yeah, it's a thing. I don't know that much.
What did it
about
actually come out on? Sega Saturn or something?
Sega CD.
Sega CD.
Yeah. Somebody actually just tried to return 203 copies of.
Return?
Yes. Well, not return. Sorry.
From
Trade
whence-
in.
I
Trade
think
in.
it's returned from like whence they
203
came.
copies of Night Trap, like the original Sega
To
CD.
where? To a GameStop?
Some random game store in Albuquerque,
Game
New
Crazy?
Mexico. Maybe.
Man, if
Funko
Funko
Land?
if Funko Land was still
Oh,
around, they would have taken those Night Traps.
They totally.
Fucking Game Crazy would have taken them.
$6.
Game Crazy took everything going back to
GameStop
NES.
will not take your Night Traps.
No.
Oh, it's really sad.
There's that store in LA in like Sherman Oaks that probably would take a few of them. I don't know if they take 300.
Not the whole.
No, they would
The
take
whole
only.
stash.
They would take the most mid.
Why did
ones.
someone have 200 copies of
It
Night
might be.
Trap?
They were from a Blockbuster Video distribution center, apparently.
Whoa.
Yes.
Can you imagine what the
Incredible.
inside of a like just uncorked
Along with like
new,
400 copies of like Friday the 13th
Probably.
5.
Yeah.
Right, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids 2. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. That was a favorite of mine.
That's
when
the
I
one
was
they
about
gotta have
12.
more copies of.
Oh,
No one buys the used copy of Honey, We Shrunk
Hellraiser
Ourselves.
2.
I hope Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves with them just like going on a mini vacation. Just like, let's not get big again. Let's just hide inside.
Let's
Hide
not get big
forever.
again.
Let's just hide inside this like
Inside
Barbie
this
mansion.
dog's guts.
That
The
Is that
dog
what
doesn't.
happens?
I don't know if the dog eats them. Probably does. Probably end up in a mouth once.
I watched that movie more than 20 times when I was 12 years old.
We Shrunk Ourselves?
Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Huh.
Yes. Yes.
When you were how old?
I was a big fan. When I was about
I was
12.
27.
12? That's a little older than I would have expected from that kind of
well,
behavior.
it was the kids were sort of preteens. They were sort of my age, and they had a
like
party.
an aspirational
so it was
thing?
a little bit like, oh yeah, this is like kids like me. They're having a party.
There's some
in their
aspirational elements.
family.
French class.
I mean, I've never seen it, so I don't know what...
French class.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you learn how to kiss a girl.
French
It's French class.
I get
Because
it.
when I was like 6, my brother and I watched 101 Dalmatians like 200 times, probably.
That's excellent.
Man,
Just
you didn't
every
cap it off with that
time.
extra 2 times.
Yeah, 2 for every down.
202 times would have been perfect.
Yeah. I mean, no.
You watched it 200 times for your 100 favorite Dalmatians.
Excellent. Congo and Perdita?
This is our Perdita viewing.
Yes. Perdita. So Curtain is really good and you should play it. It's free, or you can pay what you want to the developer. I would recommend paying $1 or so, because it actually is a really good experience. And
Oh, you think it's only worth $1?
I think it's worth $202, in fact.
Oh, wow.
One for every
Every-
copy of Night Trap and Dalmatian twice. Basically. That was really good. I played a game called Eidolon, or Eidolon. Eidolon.
I've seen this, but
Eidolon?
I've not played it. Eidolon sounds
Maybe?
right to me.
I'm not going
Eidolon?
to talk about Eidolon.
What?
Wait, why not?
Oh, no. I was immediately just going to jump into a thing that it's not, which is the classic Lucasfilm text adventure, The Eidolon.
Oh,
Well, it's based on the same mythology. Well, not
Okay.
the same mythology, but like the same idea of like a ghost or an apparition or something like that. So
Maybe it's not a text adventure, whatever it is. Anyway, sorry.
that is a really cool game that I'm obsessed with. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far.
Whoa!
Okay.
I am in love with it.
So what is it?
It's an exploration survival game, which sounds not very exciting, but
doesn't
it's
sound
really
not
beautiful.
exciting.
It's really, really beautiful. The survival elements of it are somewhat downplayed, compared to other survival games. And really, what it is you are exploring a post-human Western Washington, which is how it's described.
I saw this on
the
Steam.
state of Washington or Washington, D.C.?
Washington D.C., like the West Coast, Northwest
I'm
area.
really glad you're talking about this game.
Well, you
because
just
Wait,
said
hold on. Washington,
you just
D.C.?
said Washington, D.C., the Northwest.
No, Washington
Sorry, Washington State,
Okay.
the Northwest of the United
Okay.
States. Sorry,
Okay.
Yep.
my bad.
It's okay.
Little slip there.
When we went to Seattle, I tried to convince James Benson that we could go see the White House.
We're in Washington,
He's from
right?
Britain. And too polite to ask me if I was
So
kidding.
presentationally,
For a while.
what is it like?
It's first person, and it's
so it's
set
all
in
like
this-
3D.
It's
video
all 3D,
game.
but it's
on
very
Steam.
stylized.
I'm so glad you're talking about
Yeah.
this because I go through like the Steam things I might buy and play,
Yeah.
and I keep seeing that one. I'm like, I wonder if that's any good. I'll wait till somebody tells me. It's
I
good.
really, really like it.
Cool.
I mean, what's special about it to me is how the narrative is handled. It's basically completely up to you. If you want to sort of explore different narrative threads, you can do so. And you don't have to if you don't want to. So as you go along, you pick up little artifacts from people, postcards and notes, and there's even like an iPad thing. just sort of text from different people at different times. And, there's sort of a mystery going on and you don't quite know what that is. And there's different eras of people who are leaving notes for you. So it's really cool. It's really one of those sort of, your hand is not being held, but you can seek out guidance if you'd like to, that sort of thing. And it's pretty and beautiful, and there's different biomes that you explore. And that's the sort of thing I really dig. I really like games like that.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
really beautiful looking, yeah.
It's Ice Water Games, I believe, is the name of the people who made it. And they were like ex-students. This was like a student game made for like a thesis project that they ended up making like a full game out of.
Did you complete this game?
Not yet. I'm 12, 13 hours into
Holy
it, maybe.
shit, okay.
It's also huge and massive. I was streaming it the other night, and I got eaten by a cat, which was unfortunate.
Like a big cat?
Like a tatty
Like
cat?
a puma or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a
cat.
puma.
Okay.
A giant puma.
Not a house cat.
No, not a little house cat.
I was killed by 30 domestic short hairs.
That's a bad way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
30 angry
time
cats.
consuming.
Yeah, give me the aggregate weight of those cats in one cat and let that cat kill me.
Yeah. Rather it be a quicker
That
job.
cat will be more efficient.
For sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you very briefly about the other two games. Very, very briefly.
I kind of want to keep talking about Eidolon.
Oh, yeah. We
But-
can.
It's
Do you
all
have any
right.
questions
It
about
depends if you'd rather do like the scattershot what you've been playing, or if you don't mind.
You know what? I'll talk more about Eidolon, but
Yeah.
I will just briefly mention the other two without going into them. The Terror Aboard the Speedwell is a interactive fiction game that's basically a really good alien game.
You've got to talk about this next week because I read your
Yeah.
article about this and it seemed really cool.
It's awesome.
So
That's all I'll say.
bring it up.
Well, you know what? Now it's one of those things where I and the readers can go play it, and then we can have a
Yeah,
discussion.
exactly. That's a great idea. And the last
Say the
game
name
is
of it again.
Terra.
The Terror Aboard the Speedwell, also known as the Terror Aboard the Speedwell.
Is it an Itchio? Or is it someone
You know, it is. I believe it is an Itchio, and it's
Okay.
JV. Oh God.
Weird.
You know what? I cannot pronounce their name correctly, so I'm just going to say Google the Terror Aboard the Speedwell, and I won't butcher that
And
person's
Eidolon
name.
is on Steam. I just saw it there. It's
Yep.
$15.
Yeah, which I think is worth it.
And
I
Game
love
the
it.
Fourth.
Game the Fourth is called Bic, and it is a tiny little
Like
pixely point and
BIC
click.
or BIK?
BIK. BIK. A tiny little indie adventure, point and click adventure game. But I can talk more about Eidolon now.
What's the weirdest shit that happened in Eidolon?
Oh God.
What are your? Good question first. Start
Okay.
there.
I want
The
the
weirdest shit. I won't spoil anything, so I will just say some of the things I have encountered. I did not expect
can spoil
to
it.
What do you mean by
encounter.
spoil? Because isn't this a game where like
You can
just things
yeah,
can
But I
just
do feel that when you
happen,
say the
right?
weirdest
Things
shit,
do happen.
there's a chance that like if there's an unexpected event,
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
you wouldn't want that to be spoiled.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's sort of along those lines. It's not something you start encountering things that don't exactly make sense in the wilderness. Within the first hour or so, you start seeing things that point to a larger narrative that say there's a reason this is a post-human Western Washington as
You
opposed
see
to something
Eidolons.
else. You see Eidolons.
You are an Eidolon, clearly,
I think you actually are an Eidolon.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the idea.
based on my listening to
But
this.
so the weirdest things I've seen are those things that I don't want to spoil.
Mm.
The unexpected
But mechanically,
things.
you can pick stuff up.
Pick stuff up. You're foraging for food, or you can hunt or fish.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
like to forage for the most part, and fish a little bit. I'm a vegetarian in real life, so I guess I kind of play
You're
this
role-playing?
game like me. So
Is the fishing fun?
the fishing is very rudimentary. You're just kind of throwing the line in, and
I love a good fishing game.
the survival elements of this game are fairly rudimentary. As long as you're feeding yourself, not getting injured, and not getting too cold, you'll be fine. You just
Like
need
life.
to feed yourself. Yeah, it's a little bit like life. Although if you do get injured, that's a problem because you keep getting sick. You're susceptible to getting sick once that happens.
Okay.
And then you try to feed yourself because you're hungry, but you throw it up. It's really unfortunate.
How do you can you find medicines?
Honey is about the only medicine in the game, and you can find it.
Honey's
Ghosts
the best
love honey.
medicine.
Yeah, ghosts are
they
all
eat it
about
up.
honey.
Ghosts love honey, not baby ghosts, so they'll get botulism.
Yeah, no, don't give that to a baby ghost. They'll die twice.
Yeah, they'll die
That'd
twice.
be a problem. That'd be gross and mean. Anyway, this game is awesome.
You guys want to slam in some reader mail real quick?
Slam.
Slam it.
Episode 3 of me not talking about Sherlock Holmes.
Oh God!
Consulting.
Next
Man,
week
okay,
we gotta remember.
so next week we're queuing it up. 'cause
Next
we've
week,
got-
someone write an email asking us to talk about Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. That way, if we don't talk about it, we will address it in reader mail.
But
There you
also,
Foolproof.
name of the game you want to talk about next week, Danielle?
Terror on the
The
night
Terror Aboard the Speedwell.
Right.
aboard the Speedwell.
And I want to talk about next week Back in like
So
mid-August.
Gig is just going to say Destiny.
No. I feel like Chris already wrote the book on Destiny during the beta period. Destiny's out.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, Destiny came out yesterday.
So hack and slash.
Hack and slash. Apple Watch. You wrote an article about some concept art of Link as a woman that Nintendo put it out,
Yes.
and I've been wanting to talk about it on the podcast, but I
Yes.
keep forgetting to. So we'll talk about that next week as well.
Okay, that sounds good. It's on the
And we're just
docket.
queuing it all
Gotta
up
get my
here.
Nintendo minute in for next week.
Zelda's a girl.
It's Link in this case. It's Link.
And
While you're
Sheik,
queuing that up.
Sheik is a girl too.
It was
by
awesome
the way.
actually watching that Dynasty Warriors Zelda game. Just
Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, watching Princess Zelda just
Fucking wreck shop. Yeah,
so good.
It's amazing.
I mean, that
I
was
really
like
liked it a lot.
when Mario 3D World came out, I had the same response where I was like, holy fuck, Princess Peach is just shooting fireballs and stepping on guys and fucking just killing everyone.
So good.
She never gets to do that. She, like, in Mario 2, she does, but it's bullshit. But, like,
What? I didn't think it was bullshit in Mario 2.
it's different, though. We talked about this in Mario 3D World when she has all of the
Right.
same iconic exact abilities that Mario has.
And also there's
uses
a
them.
fidelity of animation that makes it seem really confident and not just like
Yeah.
floating sprite.
It's
bops
not
a
literally
guy in
just a
the head.
sprite swap. It's like they paid to have Peach
Yeah.
do all that stuff. And that's the same feeling in Hyrule Warriors where you're like, they're putting money into Princess Zelda just cleaving through hundreds of dudes. Like, it's, yeah.
It's actually pretty great how many like playable women characters are in that game, like that kick a lot of ass for like a Link, Nintendo, Zelda kind of game. You know,
Unrelated to playable
Like
women
Nintendo
characters.
Zelda.
Because, like, it seems
Yeah.
like every goddamn character is playable. Is Tingle a playable character in Hyrule Warriors?
God. Oh my god!
Because if you're just
That
playing
would
as
really
Tingle...
now we're talking about real progress
Yeah, it really is.
if Tingle is just cutting people in half on screen,
and being like putting out like a little cheeky hip toss.
just like a little butt shine, yeah.
A little butt. That should be his move. Is like a butt, like
Just a little
tornado
glint.
butt kind of thing.
Yeah.
you
Just
know?
like a light just blinds everybody and blasts them back.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's also... Is there like a... Okay, I have not entirely ever understood Tingle.
Says everyone.
Sorry, specifically the fact that he has the Flava Flav clock.
yeah.
But then wasn't that
His
from
pa-
wasn't that a thematic element of Majora's,
Majora's
Mask?
Mask.
Oh, his powers in Majora's Mask are actually about time?
Yeah.
Because I never got very far into Majora's Mask, so I've just always encountered this guy who has a clock around his neck, and I'm like, why is there just a guy in his green skin that
there's a
jumps
weird
in wearing a Flava
affectation.
Flav clock?
Flava Tingle. Yeah.
I think we talked about this, but that was my ultimate Idle Thumbs store item, or just ultimate cheesy like nerd bait / I would never wear it, but I would want to make it apparel, which would be a green zip up hoodie that just has the chain and the watch silk screened onto it.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Like, you'd unzip it and it wouldn't look like that, like those
Right.
fucking Boba Fett hoodies that people
Yeah.
make.
Right. You wouldn't want sewed in ears. And stuff.
No. Just enough that you have
Just
the
a
silk
hoodie.
screened on clock and the gold chain, because then it's ambiguously just a shitty illustration of a Flava Flav clock. But people who know that you're wearing a shitty costume of Tingle instead.
It's so much better.
I'm so spoiled on. I'm not spoiled, but it's hard for me to separate truth like from my brain's image of Tingle because of Ollie's 5x5 Tingle illustration of like just ultra cheeky Tingle,
That like total sassy Tingle, just like
full hip cock.
just
yeah.
But
Sassy
it's not too far off from the
Yeah,
Tingle
it's
that we know and
not
love.
too bad.
That's
yeah.
the problem is I don't know how wide that gulf is. When somebody reimagines something like that in a piece of like an interpretive fiction and you latch onto it, you forget how close to real it is.
Yep.
I know what you mean.
Chris, how's life?
It's great.
How are the readers?
They're pretty good as far as I can tell.
You think in aggregate they're on the up?
Oh yeah, their readers are doing great. All right. Well, here this is the one at the top of our to read list. Due to chronology, Graham Allen writes, "Hey Thumbs, as an elementary school music teacher, I see all 430 plus kids in the school each week. For the last 2 years, I've had the Super Mario calendar in my classroom. Usually, only the really hardcore gamer kids will say anything about it. But this month, there were large pictures of Peach and Daisy high-fiving each other. I would say 3 to 4 times a day, a student, usually a little girl, will comment on how cool it is to see them up there. Or they're excited because they actually know who those characters are. So it's not just a matter of mature gamers or older gamers making a stand. Gamers as young as 4 or 5 years old are affected in one way or another with female representation in games. Thanks for spreading awareness and keep up the great work on the podcast. Graham from St. Louis."
That warms my
That's
heart.
cool.
That really, honestly, warms my heart a little bit. Peach and Daisy doing a little high five.
Yeah.
I wish we had that when I was 5 years old.
They were around, weren't they?
They were well.
They were around, but at that
They
point,
weren't high-fiving.
At that point, Princess
That's true. I guess they were purely accessories.
Daisy, I think,
basically, at
only
that point,
existed
yeah.
because nothing in Super Mario Land actually was the same for unknown reasons. And
Yeah.
she eventually became.
That's true.
A
She
character.
became an actual character, right?
They were
as
mostly
opposed to-
Still driving
damsels in
nuts.
distress
There's
at
no
that
Wah
point.
Peach. We gotta get a Wah Peach out of them.
They were
one day,
going
right?
to.
Wah Peach has been considered and rejected by
Yes.
Nintendo.
They were actually going to do one.
One day.
It was
Bonkers.
Waru Peachy. It literally going to be Waru Peachy.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Miyamoto
day.
himself said no to that idea.
Well,
Fuck him.
Let's make our.
You'll note there's no painting of Miyamoto up on the wall sent by the forums.
look to your left.
That's right.
All right, Max Fuller. We've heard from him before.
Hi, Max.
Right. Oh, Max Fuller interviewed both Sean and me,
And it's on the auto
and
forums.
those interviews are on the Idle forums.
awesome.
I still have to
Yeah, if
answer
you
his
want to read
questions.
those. Yeah,
Sorry,
Jake.
Max.
Jake will be interviewed as well.
I'm next.
What's nice is he'll get the questions post like Campo Santo's 5th or 6th game when you finally
Right, yeah.
yeah same questions.
He's like, I can read these to my kids now.
yeah.
So he writes in with an email entitled "Blades on the Edge." Hey Thumbs, I have prepared a short quiz about blades because it sounds like all of you knows blades inside out, and I wanted to test that. The answers will be sent in another email so that everyone can get involved.
Blades on the edge.
Question 1. What year was the Blades interface replaced? Do you want me to read the multiple choice? Jake?
no, let's
God.
do it without multiple choice.
2007.
Let's unpack this.
Wait, no. Blades, okay.
I think Danielle's
Blades,
close.
I think
to
Blades,
right.
Blades on the edge. Blades have to have been replaced in 2008 with the new Xbox experience, which introduced avatars because we discussed it within the first 10 episodes of Idle Thumbs.
All right.
Right, because we went to the new Xbox experience press event with Brad Shoemaker,
Oh, and then he came on the podcast.
and then he came on the podcast when we talked about the death of Blades. I think, man, I could be wrong. That's
I
my
think
guess.
that's
Okay,
close.
so
Yeah.
you're going.
That
You're going
sounds
to
good.
2008.
I'm going with 08.
Okay.
Because I think
I think we should all go
the
with it.
death
Alright.
of Blades was the
We'll
rise
do
of
this.
shitty avatars.
We'll do this collectively here.
I knew it was close to or around. Oh no, I was living in San Francisco. It was 2008.
All right.
Yeah, I'm.
Question.
that sounds
All right.
good to me.
2008. Question 2. How many blades were found on the UI?
Wait a minute now. Oh wait, fuck Blade. Oh,
It's tough because the number would be the same no matter if you went left or right.
I'm
but
thinking.
there's
I'm
some-
thinking. Fuck everything. We're doing 5 blades, but I'm not sure if that's correct. But also, when you press the Xbox button, were there blades in the original UI, or was that just when the little mini blades were
Well,
in the
actually,
new
so
one?
no, there's a
God.
way to actually figure this out because there's a mathematical number that it has to be in of right because even if you're all the way to the left or all the way to the right, there's still a blade on. That's just the UI element, I guess.
No, because
This is screens.
it's just you're just like basically pushing this. It's like
It's like a jukebox.
It's like a jukebox or like professorial
But
blackboards
if you went
that
all
you
the way to
slide out of the way.
the left, there wasn't like a framing blade.
I think that the blades just had their names on both sides.
I think
Oh.
he's
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's 5. I do think there's 5 because there was like green blade, there was store blade, there was settings blade, there was friends blade,
And Grumpy Blade.
I like that it's like
Sleepy
blade.
I like that
Blade.
it's like store, games, settings, green. It's like what
No, then
flavor
there
is
was,
that?
like-
There
there was
purple.
dashboard blade that had
Apple.
your gamer tag information.
Yeah.
There was friends blade, shop blade, settings blade,
Games Blade.
games blade.
There's got to
So
be a
5
Games Blade.
5
I
blades.
might have just
Fuck,
fucked
we're
us by
going 5
saying Games Blade. I'm going to go with 5 blades, but the thing that I can't remember is when they brought the new Xbox experience out and you hit the Xbox button, there were those fucking baby blades that popped up.
I don't think he's counting those,
But
right?
I don't think those were in the old UI. I think that was a
Yeah.
shitty other thing. So we'll say
with 5
we'll say
blades?
fuck everything.
Fuck
with
five
we have
blades.
blades replaced in 2008. Total.
There was a
how many
purple
blades?
blade.
5 blades.
Are you gonna up the blade count to 6?
No, I'm just trying to think of the colors. There was definitely a green blade. There was definitely an orange blade. There was definitely a purple blade.
All right, Danielle's got to get out of here, so let's move it. Let's move it on.
We'll say
Sorry, guys, I'm late for this meeting.
Oh my
because we're
God, he
counting-
says extra points if you can name each blade.
Holy shit.
Well, I
Oh
think
my
I had my best
God.
effort. I can decide the colors.
Run through them real quick again.
I believe there was dashboard like profile blade, but I don't think that's probably what it was called.
Okay.
Then there was games blade. There was a settings blade. There was a store blade, and there was a friends blade.
Okay. All right. Question 3. This is
give that a shot.
this is a yes or no. This is did the Blades design feature adverts?
I'm gonna say
I don't think it did. Yeah, I don't.
It did not.
I don't think it did.
It did not.
Do you count featured games as an advertisement? I would say no.
No. Did not feature.
Man, because the store might have
because
even
no.
been a
Think
fucking
about
sex
new Xbox
subblade.
experience is
It was ads.
Ads.
Actually, ads for
So,
like
like-
DirecTV and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 'Cause I feel like there was a blade that was like, man, was there even a games blade, or was that just on your profile and I had the disc and then a link to the store? We're shelving this because we're just
All
going
right,
to make peace with it and
man.
move forward.
Yeah.
Next blade question.
This is it. This is 3-question and quiz. You ready
Okay.
for the answers?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought he said he was going to send the answers in later.
He
It's
did. It's a
separate
different
email.
email.
Oh my god. Okay.
This was like
Got
a
it
week
all.
ago.
How did we
It's all
do?
here.
This was like a month ago, in fact. All right. Answer 1, 2008.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blades replaced in
Okay.
2008. Answer 2. I'll accept either 4 or 5. It was initially 4
They added
and
a
then
bonus
changed
blade.
to 5.
I knew they added a blade.
OMG.
Man. Okay. Which blade was
good.
added? Store blade. No.
The original 4 blades.
Allard's blades.
System, media, games, Xbox Live.
Oh fuck. We're way
Whoa.
off.
Sorry.
5th blade, Marketplace,
Okay.
which
so
was one of the
blades.
store blades. That's store
System was okay. Weird. Can you name those one more time? Let's just
System was
blade. System,
profile, I guess.
system, media, games, Xbox Live, Marketplace.
I knew I was leaving media out, but I didn't know what it would be called.
Yeah.
I knew there was
Yeah.
like stuff
Right.
that
That's
wasn't
how you can like
games.
stream your music.
because the Xbox meant to be this like
Yeah.
that was their first foray into.
Finally, there were in fact no ads on the.
We get
blades.
100.
Well, we kind of
Yeah, we basically
We
nailed
didn't get
it.
the bonus
We
question.
got,
We didn't
we
get
got
the
3 out of
credit.
3, but we didn't get 4
We
out
would
of
have
3.
passed the
Right,
test.
yeah.
We would have passed the test.
We got,
Yeah.
we got
would have aced the
So
test.
okay, we would have been the student who got the A, who then was
then complained.
bummed that they
Yeah, it was
complained. Like, I knew most of the tabs, and then me who got the B.
Can
in the
I get
class
like
would be
partial
"Fuck
extra
you."
credit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
credit.
Settings is like system.
Man, Blades on the Edge is also the best.
That's
name
a student who
that could ever
thinks
happen.
on the
they're the
edge.
teacher's favorite, and the teacher
Hates
wishes
that.
for their death every
Yeah,
day.
that teacher goes home and eats dinner with their spouse and just
And it's
bitches
like,
about
oh my god, there's this kid.
There's this fucking kid.
Oh god, Simon. Ugh,
I mean, really smart, but like, oof.
brilliant, but his
Oh,
parents must just
God.
be a fucking
Yeah, just real piece of work. Yeah.
God, Simon.
So
right.
that's it.
If you have a question or Blades
or
quiz, Blades quiz only.
God, I hope we just start getting quizzes like, which blade are you?
Which Xbox Blade are you?
God.
Take this quiz and find out.
BuzzFeed presents.
Oh man, Idol's fucking Facebook page.
Can I be in media?
God,
You can totally be media.
I want to be in media.
We'll find
Jake
out.
is a systems blade, obviously.
We'll find out.
Sean, I feel
Chris
like you're
wishes-
the
Why
you're the
not
marketplace. I
Gameblade?
think.
I was gonna say you wish you weren't marketplace, but you're the marketplace.
No, you're the marketplace.
I'm not. How dare you? Fuck you.
Well, you were added later. But by
Danielle hasn't been here since the beginning.
Yeah, it's true. I was added later.
She's definitely the media blade,
kind
though.
of true.
yeah,
I mean, journalism.
yeah,
Media
media,
blade.
media.
No.
packs.
Fucking- more like bias blade, right?
Yeah, bias. BB.
Corruption blade.
Blade Gate.
I am the blade of corruption. Bladergate.
Is there a secret sixth blade?
It's just one tiny sliver of Galen's face.
God, zoom in on the fucking Blade screenshot. Yeah, you see that one like sub-pixel on super high. If you plug your Xbox into a 4K display, but still the Blade's OS load, you can see a hint of a sixth blade. What does this blade contain?
Perfect blade activated.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I love it.
yeah, perfect blade.
Danielle, you need to.
Yeah, you gotta go.
I should
All right.
You gotta. Danielle, you gotta.
You gotta get out.
get out of here.
Oh, but yeah, write us at questions@allthumbs.net. That's what I was gonna say, but we got distracted by Blades.
This episode is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox is a fantastic snack and treat delivery service that will bring wonderful, wholesome things right to your home or office. You can go to naturebox.com/thumbs for your free NatureBox sampler with $2 shipping.
So thanks, NatureBox, for supporting this episode. You eat them.
Followed up by a cease and desist from NatureBox. Maybe that's not actually our trademark slogan. And
That was not related to the ad.
Followed up with dual cease and desists from like Paramount.
Paramount.
And
Harrison Ford and
And NatureBox CEO. God. Billy
Harrison
Box.
Ford.
Harrison Ford. Fuck. Oh, shit. Exposed.
Cabal.
The NatureBox cabal.
Oh my god. I just saw this tweet from Mike Watson that says, Desert golfing update. The desert has turned pink. Hole 2172. Still no end in sight. And then there's a screenshot of a totally pink, like purple pink Desert golfing.
That is a very
I got to reinstall this game.
Maybe he didn't touch the urn.
Maybe he didn't touch that vase.
That's what it was.
God, I have to reinstall this game now and play it forever.
Goodbye.
God damn it.
Episode over.